Welcome to a new episode.
Hello and welcome back to the Copper Connection podcast, the podcast where we explore the essential elements of the building services and construction. As always, I'm your host Chris Bailey and this is episode 16. Today we're diving into something absolutely fundamental to modern construction. Design principles, part 1. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting your journey in the trade, understanding these principles is crucial. We'll be exploring sustainability, environmental protection, renewable energy sources, and safe construction methods. Now I know you might be thinking, design principles? Sounds a bit dry, right? But trust me, this is where the magic happens. This is where we transform buildings from simple structures into efficient, sustainable and safe environments. So grab a coffee, settle in and let's get connected. So let's start with the big picture. Sustainability. You know, it's fascinating how much our industry has evolved. For decades, we lived in what I call the throwaway culture. Build it, use it, tear it down, repeat. But we've woken up to the environmental cost of that approach. Today we understand that fossil fuel usage causes pollution, damages wildlife habitats and contributes to climate change. And here's the thing, the construction industry has a massive responsibility in this. We're not just building structures, we're shaping the future of our planet. So what does this mean practically? Well, modern construction focuses on 3 key areas. First, reducing our carbon footprint. We're talking about cutting down CO2 emissions and toxic waste from burning fossil fuels. Second, protecting natural resources. Every time we extract fossil fuel from the ground, we are damaging ecosystems and affecting plants and animals. By using renewable energies and improved insulation, we're reducing that impact. And third, extending the life cycle of buildings. We're designing structures that last longer and use resources more efficiently throughout the entire lifespan of the building. Now, let's talk about the practical side. Environmental protection during the design stage. This isn't just about the physical impact of a building on its local environment. We need to think holistically. Ask yourself, are we using sustainable technologies and materials? Where are they sourced from? Can they be recycled? What's the carbon footprint of transporting them? Here's where it gets exciting. We have some incredible innovations now. Materials like fabric and timbercrete can actually replace traditional concrete. We've got building information modelling or BIM that helps us design more efficient. Smart glass, cool roofs, heat recycling system, the list goes on. And for materials, think bamboo, cork, wood, sheep's wool, straw bales and recycled steel or plastics. They aren't just eco-friendly alternatives, they're often superior in performance too. Alright, let's start talking about something that directly impacts both the environment and people's wallets. Heat loss. Picture a typical uninsulated home. Here's what happens. Up to 35% of the heat is escaping through uninsulated walls. That's more than a third of your heating energy just gone. Then you've got another 25% through the roof, 15% through doors, another 15% through floors, and 10% through windows. That's a lot of wasted energy, right? But here's the good news. We can fix this. By properly insulating lofts, brick cavities and ground floors with slabs or roll insulation, we dramatically reduce energy use. Double or triple glazed windows, K-glass, draft excluders on doors, they aren't luxury items anymore. They're essential components of responsible construction. And the benefits significantly reduce energy use, which means saving natural resources and saving money for the building's occupants. It's a win-win situation. But energy conservation goes beyond insulation. We can reduce a building's carbon footprint by using locally sourced materials. Less transportation means less emissions. We can position windows and openings to maximise natural light and reduce heat loss. Air filtration and recirculation systems can maintain air quality while conserving energy. And here's a modern touch. Smart meters. They allow occupants to monitor and manage their energy use in real time. Knowledge is power, quite literally in this case. Now, let's explore one of my favourite topics, renewable energy sources. This is where construction meets innovation, and honestly, it's pretty exciting stuff. Let's start with solar energy. And there are actually two types that you need to know about. First, we have solar thermal systems. These use free heat from the sun to warm domestic hot water. They typically include a conventional boiler as a backup to top up the water temperature when needed. Simple, effective, and increasingly affordable. Then there's solar photovoltaic, or PV panels. These work by absorbing sunlight with photovoltaic cells that generate direct current. This DC power is then converted to alternate current for the use in homes. You've probably seen them all over the roofs in your neighbourhood by now. Moving on to wind power, specifically micro wind turbines. These work by capturing energy from the wind, which turns the turbine blades connected to a generator that produces electricity. Now, they aren't suitable for every location. You need consistent wind speeds, but where they work brilliantly. Similarly, we have micro hydro systems. These work like wind turbines, except they take the energy from moving water rather than the wind. If you've got a stream or river on your property, this could be an absolute game changer. Now, let's talk about heat pumps. They're becoming increasingly popular, and for good reason. Air source heat pumps absorb the heat from the air into a fluid, run it through a compressor to increase the temperature, and then use that heat for space heating or hot water. They're efficient, reliable, and can work even in cold climates. Ground source heat pumps work on a similar principle, but they extract heat from pipes sunk into the ground. The ground temperature is more stable than air temperature, which can make these more efficient, though they require more space and higher initial installation costs. And here's something you may not have considered: tidal and wave energy. Now, obviously, this isn't going to work for your average residential project, but for a coastal development, turbines placed on the ocean surface in tidal areas can generate electricity when the tide ebbs and flows. The power gets fed into the grid. It's a perfect example of how we can harness natural, predictable forces for clean energy. The takeaway here, we have options. Multiple renewable energy sources that can be mixed and matched depending on location, budget, and specific needs. The days of relying solely on fossil fuels are long behind us. Now, let's shift gears and talk about water, another precious resource we need to conserve. Most modern appliances are water efficient by design now, which is great, but we can go further with grey water harvesting. So what is grey water harvesting? It includes rainwater that can be collected and stored. Perfect for flushing toilets since it doesn't need to be drinking quality. It also includes clean water that's being used for washing and food preparation. This can be used to top up your rainwater harvesting or garden irrigation. Think about it. Why use treated drinkable water to flush toilets or water gardens? Grey water systems make so much more sense, both environmentally and economically. Finally, let's address something absolutely critical: safety. Historically, construction has had a reputation for being a dangerous work environment, but it doesn't need to be this way. Safe working practices should be considered right from the design stage. We need to ensure the site can be safely accessed and the project can be safely delivered. For example, can roofs be constructed off-site to reduce the number of people working at height? This brings us to E.R.I.C, a fantastic framework for managing safety. Let's break it down. So we have E, which is eliminate. Can you eliminate the risk entirely? For example, construct roofs at ground level and then crane them up into the wall plates, or replace harmful materials like asbestos with safer alternatives like cellulose fibres for insulation. Then we have R, reduce. Can you reduce the risk? Maybe schedule high-risk tasks when fewer people are on site, place noisy equipment with quieter models, or limit exposure time at high noise level. Then we have I, isolate. Can the risk be isolated? Use sealed booths for spraying or installing guards on machines to prevent physical contact. Then we have C, control. Can the risk be controlled? Install CO monitors, provide bespoke training, and implement proper planning with risk assessments and method statements. Remember, accidents never just happen. They are caused and they can be prevented. The Construction Design and Management Regulation 2015, or the CDM regulation, ensures health and safety issues are properly considered during a project's development. The goal is simple: reduce the risk of harm to those who build, use and maintain structures. This means planning work so risks are managed from start to finish, ensuring everyone has the right information, promoting cooperation and communication, and consulting workers about risks and how they are being managed. Okay, so that brings us to the end of episode 16, where we've covered a lot of ground today, from sustainability and environmental protection to renewable energy sources, water conservation and safe construction methods. The key message: design principles are just a theoretical concept. They're practical tools that help us build better, safer and more sustainable structures. They protect our environment, conserve resources, save money, and most importantly, keep people safe. In our next episode, we'll continue exploring design principles with part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into the technical aspects of construction design. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the Copper Connection podcast from wherever you get your podcast from. Share it with your colleagues and classmates or anyone interested in the building services industry. Got a question or topic you'd like us to cover? Reach out to us at the Copper Connection podcast at gmail.com. We love to hear from our listeners. Until next time, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay connected.
We'll be back next week. In the meantime, please subscribe and thanks for listening.